This is Johnny with Tigerbomb MMA, and today I'm going to go over UFC Vegas 114, Emmet versus Vallejos, give you my thoughts, predictions on the entire 14-bout card. Very, very good main event. We get to see if Vallejos is really that guy. Spoiler is, he probably is, versus Emmet, to see if he still has it in him at over 40 years old. You know, both these guys hit hard, so anything could happen in this matchup, so highly intrigued to see this fight. But before I break down these fights, I did want to give you my thoughts, and I have thoughts about the previous card, which was the UFC BMF title fight. Brother, oh boy, between Charles and Mac. So, first fight of the night. And overall, it didn't do great because there are some things that just didn't happen. But when I was confident about things, it went the way it went. Bellato defeats Luke Fernandez. I had an inkling. Look, let me be real with you about Luke if you're questioning this. Also, by the way, if you want to skip this, you should have seen the thing in the whatever. Luke looked good. He's very promising, but this was a little too much too soon of a hard hitter from Bellato. Bellato, if anything hits hard and is a bit of a Terminator, hard to put away, but he was on his way to get put out by Luke. He got caught. Let's not look at this and be like, oh no, Luke sucks. It is what it is. I ended up betting Bellato. Just, I had a hunch, might as well take a shot on him. And it paid off. Same thing more or less happened with DR versus Tobias. Tobias, I was a little less high on. I think Fernandez is going to do well. If they pair these two guys up, Fernandez is going to run through Tobias. But Tobias looked like absolute dog shit, which I suspected. DR, I bet him prior to the fight. And this is just like minimum. Like I had nothing other than one parlay. But DR looked very good the moment he hit him to the belly. I bet him at like minus 130 at that point as well, live. But he gave me some scares there. Like, this guy nearly got submitted a few times, but Tobias still showed how green he was. And as I mentioned, like, this guy has plenty of fights, but still highly green. But what a slop fest. Like, there was moments there where Tobias looked pretty decent on top, but then he would lose positioning. He just, no initiative for him. And DR, it is what it is for him. Like, I think we'll see what happens with both of these, but I don't think these guys have a future in the UFC long term. Maybe Tobias, if he can clean up some issues down the line. Sumadarji defeats Aguilar. I took Aguilar. I have no issues taking him or taking that loss. He fought for my money, and Sumadarji looked improved. He was stuffing takedowns. He looked physically imposing, as we expected, over Aguilar, and he was able to really out-grapple Aguilar. So props to Sumadarji, but I'm never going to get shamed for betting or even picking Aguilar. Dude's a fucking menace. Tumen Dembro defeats Cody Durden. He beat him everywhere. He beat him everywhere. There was a couple fouls there, but I had him at a parlay price, I think below minus 190, I think is where the line closed. 30-27 Cody Durden, and at this point, as I mentioned, I thought he would get finished, but Durden held on. Durden's still very tough. Alberto Montes, second leg of my parlay, as we know, cashed. Look, the issue with Ricky was he was going to go up in weight, and he looked imposing with his spazziness. He even gave Montes, to my perspective, a little bit of trouble. Like a little bit of trouble with that pressure and moving forward, but when Montes felt comfortable, that leaping kick to the body is the doom of Ricky Tercios in this fight. And let me be real, I know Montes is good at that anaconda choke, but for him to put out Ricky that quickly with the choke was like, damn, like very impressive. Like, you're on your way to getting your hair plugs, my friend. Best of luck to you. But Montes looked excellent for a UFC debut. From a guy in the Contender Series. Johnson versus Brundage. I made jokes. I texted friends in California that don't really watch MMA. I'm like, boys, you get to see Cody Brundage quit live on CBS, and I don't think they had the heart to watch it. This was a horrific matchup, and I even said, I want nothing to do with Brundage, but even to make sure that he lost, I bet $4 on him at plus 600 or something. And as expected, he let me down. And my theory is if I put money on Brundage, he's definitely going to lose. And lo and behold, he did. It was a pathetic excuse of a fight for him. The fact that he even went to a split was very funny to me. And Dante Johnson, this is a good learning lesson for him, but in no way, shape, or form was he in any danger from Brundage other than getting taken down. It was just kind of a pathetic as excuse of a fight for both these men. Cody Garbrandt defeats... no, he did not defeat Long Zhao. Let me be real, man. Given all the circumstances here, Long Zhao should have won. Zhang Lao, that is, should have won this fight, even with the point deductions, because the foul occurred in the round number 3 with the ball hit and Cody vomiting. I don't care what Big John says. Standard procedure is once you either excrement or vomit or anything like that, it is considered end of the fight. The fact that they allowed him to continue was a little interesting, but it still would have been Long Zhao winning that fight even with the point deduction via the scorecards. Now, this was pretty bad from Zhao kicking him or kneeing him in the balls the second time, but the fact that somebody gave Cody round number 3 when he ran away, that was like the absolute confirmation for me, where prior to the fight happening, I was like, well, Cody on paper should win it, but the big but is he's fucking done. And him running away from Zhao was like, oh man, like everything I knew about this fight going in was validated. It's unfortunate. Yeah, I don't consider this one a loss. Like, if you had money on Cody, God bless you and your family. I salute you. Good on you. But Lord have mercy, this was a bad look. Gregory Rodriguez defeats Bruno Ferreira. The exact same type of knockout. Whoever was going forward gets knocked out. First fight, Gregory's moving forward. Bruno's backing up, counter-striking, knocks out Rodriguez. The opposite happens here. Bruno's moving forward. Gregory's counter-striking knocks out Ferreira. I had Ferreira here. I had a little bit of money on him live, but man, that was impressive from RoboCop. It's very weird how RoboCop fights. Sometimes he hits guys, he doesn't budge them. Sometimes he gets hit, he doesn't budge. Sometimes soft shots knock him the hell out. And in this case, it's like good steps for Gregory Rodriguez, but I'm not going to take this into high consideration moving forward. And by that, I mean I'm prepared for a Gregory Rodriguez kind of cuck job. Moving on, Drew Dober defeats Michael Johnson. There's a lot of weirdness going on this one. Johnson, as expected, was the better fighter, but we all knew Dober could land that shot. He ended up landing that shot. The line movement, I don't want to get into it. It was just kind of a weird overall situation, but Dober won. Unfortunately, we don't get to see Bobby versus Michael Johnson, but maybe possibly Bobby Green versus Drew Dober too. We got Raul Rosas Jr. defeating Rob Font. Raul Rosas made it a little too easy for me. I didn't bet this fight, but I thought Rob Font was going to put up a little bit more of a fight. And Rosas showed that his dominance on the mat is like confirmed. Like I thought he was going to have to take the back because Rob's really hard to hold down. And the last guy to really hold him down was Corey Sandhagen. It does show that Raul Rosas Jr. is getting better. And as he's getting older, that true man strength, he's still a boy, but damn, when he hits that 25, 26 mark, if he's still fighting, he might be a real problem. Kyle defeats Rainier de Ritter. Nothing really out of the ordinary here. Kind of expected the fight to go the way it did, other than the fact that Kyle was way more aggressive than I thought he would be. I thought he'd be a little bit more reserved to try to maintain some of his cardio, and he looked bigger. What's funny, I thought he was a little smaller than de Ritter, and turns out they're about the same size. I was like, damn, Kyle's been cutting some height and some mass because he looked pretty damn big compared to de Ritter, and de Ritter's like 6'4" allegedly. But yeah, good fight for Kyle. I think he still needs to work on a few things. I didn't like the fact that he got tired into that fight, and de Ritter was having some moments, but yeah, de Ritter was spazzing out all over the place. And then finally, Charles Oliveira defeats Max Holloway. I did bet this fight doesn't go the distance. It broke my heart seeing that Max got his black belt for the defense. Submission defense against Charles. It kind of pissed me off. It was like the shit cherry on top for me. Realistically, I thought Charles could do that, but I would have never have guessed he would just grapple fuck him for 5 rounds and not submit him, which bummed me out. I really thought, if anything, Max would have the decent enough takedown defense to get back up or get up game and then have an actual fight, which at that point Charles would be in trouble, but Charles is never in trouble. The thing that really did concern me with Charles was the wrestling. He looked improved, he looked way stronger, and his cardio held up completely, and he was the harder striker here. Actually even had Max backing up at the end, so props to Charles, but at this point I do need Ilya Topuria to pull a 2007 Chris Jericho and save us from this unfortunate reality of this unfortunate fight being the BMF fight. And like, I like both these guys, but Charles doing that, grapple fucking Max Holloway, you got to do what you got to do. I get it, but man, that really put a sour taste in like my mouth. I felt like so blue balled. I'm like, this is what, like, imagine had I paid money for this, I'd been so pissed. So I was very disappointed with this event in the long run. Good knockouts here and there, but the main event really let me down. But in this specific case, for this specific card, I doubt the main event's going to let me down. I think we're all going to see fireworks here. But let's start off. First fight of the night, Piera Rodriguez versus Sam Hughes. Minus 125 for Piera La Fiera. She's got a 1-0 record over Sam Hughes, who is plus 105. If you went back and watched the fight, it was relatively close. You know, Piera still relatively new to the UFC, and Sam Hughes kind of getting her feet wet. I think now they are, I don't want to say the optimum versions of themselves, but they are getting closer to it. For Sam Hughes, she's gotten stronger. She's got good output. She is a tough girl. And if you're not ready for that onslaught of just taking damage and then getting a hold of you and slowing you down and getting you tired, you're just not ready for it. It's happened time and time again. Sam gets dominated oftentimes. And if you slow down and if you get tired a bit, judges, for whatever reason, love her getting hit in the face and just moving forward. They love that kind of shit, especially if it's not like backing her up. They consider those punches not to be too damaging. In this specific case, you got two girls that can do it all to an extent. You know, we got Sam Hughes. She can wrestle, she can grapple. Her last time out against Shauna Bannon showed that she was a superior grappler there, even though Shauna's been improving her jiu-jitsu. But she was just too physically strong for her and just too gritty, too much like, say, a Matt Hughes compared to a Sam Hughes. When looking at it in the view of that specific Shauna Bannon fight, like, she looked just like Matt Hughes prime. Piera Rodriguez, she's very gritty, but she can also match Sam Hughes with the physicality, the striking, the cardio, the output, and the wrestling. And I think it's going to go the same way as the first fight. Relatively close, good moments for both, but I think Piera is just a little bit of a step ahead. I think the level of competition that she's beaten is a little bit better. You know, just seeing her get dominated, or Shauna Bannon that is getting dominated and submitted, that to me doesn't mean anything. This is a girl who got hit by Pooja Tumar. By the way, she's getting a fight here soon. She's going to get destroyed. But man, I do value to an extent the capabilities of Sam Hughes versus somebody who's not really truly tested. But Pierre's already been tested by Sam Hughes. She was able to pass that test. And I think she's just a little bit grittier, especially in the clinch, throwing elbows, knees. And Sam does take damage. She gets a lot of damage on her face. If you implement enough damage to her face, you're going to cut her up. So give me Pierre to win this one again by a decision. Normally, if Sam Hughes was like plus 160 to plus 200, then I'd take that shot because it is going to be close. I think it's going to be decided by one round and the interpretation from the judges based off of what they value more. But I do think Pierre is going to be the one actually going for the takedowns, landing the takedowns, and just higher output than Sam Hughes. Moving on here, we've got Elijah Smith versus Su Young Yu. Smith minus 200, comeback on Su Young Yu is plus 170. This is the Stop Asian Hate fight, because last time Elijah Smith should have been put in jail for nearly murdering a guy. This is the equivalent of him pushing a guy in the subway out in San Francisco. For the love of God, Elijah Smith here, he's a young prospect. He's 23, and I think at this point he's really showing that him having his father in his corner and, you know, developing him over the years, him now hitting that, I don't want to say that peak. He's still very young. He's 23, but he's still very young, and he's 23, and he's very good. He's going to have the height advantage, reach advantage, and I think he's going to go through Su Young pretty easily. I think he's going to be really victorious any way he wants to. If he wants to keep it on the feet and win by decision, if he wants to try to find a finish, if he wants to out-grapple Su Young, he can. I wouldn't advise him to try to grapple Su Young. He's pretty good. He's pretty spry. I like this guy a lot. I think he's overperforming for his size and really for his skill set. Like, he can do a lot of things well, but primarily it's the control on the ground that he's very good at. He can strike for sure. He can throw some bombs, but I do think he can get a bit too irresponsible. And really, when I see his last fight against Zhang Lao, I did think he lost that fight. He got outdogged. Right now, he's fighting a guy who can match him really physically. He can match him with the speed. outmatch him, really, and primarily the reach and the punching power. And when I look at Elijah Smith and I see his wins, he beat the crap out of Tazama. He nearly murdered the man. But the Vince Morales fight, especially looking back on hindsight, seeing how much trouble Vince Morales gave to Raul Rosas and how much trouble he gave to Elijah Smith, and both those guys beat him, it kind of makes you think maybe Vince Morales is just a little too good of a dog as a fighter, that even though you might have some struggles with him, maybe he's just pretty damn good. And I think that's the case. I think if you're trying to say, oh, Elijah Smith nearly lost to this guy and he got nearly guillotined or Peruvian, it's more so Vince is just that kind of a fighter opposed to Elijah Smith sucks. So give me Smith to come out here and get the job done against Su Young Yu. I don't know if he gets the knockout. I think Yu's pretty good. I think he's going to try to hold on to Elijah Smith, but to be very safe, I'll go Smith to win this fight via decision. High likelihood he can finish Su Young Yu. Again, I like Yu. I think he's solid. I think he can win this one. The only way I can see Su Young Yu winning this fight, because I like to break it down, if I were to bet Elijah Smith, how does he lose? Smith in the past has been known to kind of slow down and maybe, I don't want to say quit, but his body just doesn't react well. And there are moments where he can just say, I don't know what I'm doing, like a lapse of judgment, let's just say, just to try to be nice here. And he can kind of get either caught or, again, I don't want to say the word quit. I don't think he's a quitter, but there's a possibility, very low possibility, that he might be able to get out grappled here. I highly doubt it, but again, if he tires out trying to get a finish over you, like trying to get a spectacular finish in the first round, and he tires himself out, I think there's a possibility at that point that Yu survives, starts taking him down, and he just doesn't have the cardio to get back up. That is a possibility. Unlikely, but we shall see. Moving on here, we've got, to me, the best fight of the millennium. We've got Bia Mesquita versus Montserrat Rendon. To me, this is the immovable object versus the irresistible force. It is large melons versus huge tits. Which is going to win? Bia Mesquita is going to win. So with Montserrat Rendon, let me be real with you on this one. She's plus 350. The chances that she wins here are very, very low. The odds don't need to tell me that. I just don't think she's very good. The possibilities for her winning include Bia Mesquita gassing out significantly, that a woman like Montserrat Rendon can outpoint her. And Bia is going to have to be very, very compromised for her to lose this fight. Bia is either going to win, she's going to win whatever way she wants, either knockout, TKO, submission, decision. It just really depends on what she wants to do here. Eventually, I think this fight's going to hit the ground where Bia's going to take over, whether she wants to pound out Rendon or if she wants to submit her. It's really up to her. I do think it's going to get extended into round number 2. Like, Rendon has a jiu-jitsu background. She's a scrappy Mexican girl, and I actually like her. I like her in the sense that she overperforms in her last fight against that Elise Pereira, where everyone was on that 19-year-old's dick. I was like, no, man, this girl's not very good. Rendon can beat her, and Rendon did beat her. How did she beat her? Via the lack of experience from Pereira at a high level. That's the one thing Rendon, at least minimum, has, is higher level competition on her record. But truth be told, she's not very good. She's not. She's slow. She does have some pop in her punches, and that's really the best attribute other than her 2 titties that are fantastic, by the way. It's going to be the greatest fight, man. I cannot wait. Both these women are just like top tier, but top tier titties. Anyways, Rendon not winning this fight. Bia Mesquita, too good at jiu-jitsu. I think she is just too patient. She's not going to Brazilian death gas here. She's going to find her spot. She's going to win the fight. More than likely, submission, rear naked choke, armbar, whatever she wants. I do value Rendon in spots, but I don't value her at her skill set. Meaning that, like, she's a good, again, picture a female version, less skilled version, taller version, much more attractive version of Jesus Aguilar. That's how I view her, right? She'll move forward. She'll give people fits, but if you're too good, you're not going to beat her. You're going to beat her easily, is what I should say. Next bout, A fight that I did extensive research on just because I wanted to be certain. But we've got Luan Lacerda versus Etcher Sosa. Odds have it in favor of Sosa, minus 230, come back on Lacerda, plus 190. Automatically, I'm going to tell you, I'm going with Sosa by a decision, but I want to justify and explain to you how I got to that decision. I think Sosa's good, but he was a slight underdog in his contender series fight against, what was that kid's name? Maxim Lee. And I think he very, very, very much so overperformed in that fight. And what I mean by that is like watching his tape outside the UFC. I'm not saying he's not good. He is very good, and I'll explain the pros and cons. But it almost seemed like he's slowly developing in confidence. He seems to have the skill set for sure. He trains with Ilya Taporia, maybe not as like exclusive training partners, but he does train there. He's a Spanish guy. I want to see him do well, considering all the shit he's been through. His sister passed away not too long ago. Then his father passed away not too long after that. So you want to see that, like that good feeling of like, good for you, man, you did it. And I'm fairly confident he wins this fight because he is the better fighter. I think he's the better striker. But I got to be real, when I see him fight, there are some concerns that you have to keep in the back of your head if you're going to bet a guy like this. New guy coming into the UFC from the Contender Series. I got to be honest with you, man. I think his record might be a little bit padded. Now, don't freak out about that. A lot of people get their records padded. It doesn't mean that they're not good. The positives are he seems to have a solid brown belt in jiu-jitsu, good guillotine defense. The way I know that is because he's been put in a guillotine multiple times, but he survives it and he gets out of it. I don't think he's really been put in any one that he hasn't really been able to figure out. Very good output, rips to the body very well. A negative thing, to be honest, kind of a personal thing, I think he looks a little too slender. Maybe a little bit of Tyranobol or some HGH wouldn't do you the worst harm in the world, let's just say. The positives, though, without the trend and without the mass, he has a good cardio. He seems to scramble well. Very, very well-rounded guy. I really like Hetcher Sosa, and I want him to do well, but I got to be real. When I'm seeing this guy, I see some possible issues going forward. The reason I bring up him possibly being a little too small, maybe not too physically strong, is that Luan Lacerda, being a black belt in jiu-jitsu, is going to want to get it to the ground and hold him there, try to submit him. On the feet, Luan is fucking slow. He has some pop in his punches, but his combinations are god-awful. He has good kicks, but overall, I think he's going to be really slow here versus Etcher Sosa, who mixes things up well, attacks the body, as I mentioned, good combinations to the head, rips to the body, low kicks, loves flying knees. I do like Etcher Sosa's flying knees a lot. He doesn't telegraph them. He doesn't go fucking buck wild. He throws them in spots where they're adequate and he's not in danger of getting taken down. But ultimately, I do suspect that going forward, we might need to reevaluate Etcher Sosa. If he gets through Luan Lacerda and like runs through him completely and he looks like way better from his like previous fight, then at that point I have to reassess that. But at this very moment, I do think he beats him. I think he is better than Luan Lacerda. I think Luan, a guy who gassed out and got TKO'd by Damon Blackshear, a guy who got reversed by, from the bottom, Simon. What's his name? First name? His name is, yeah, Simon Oliveira. That was concerning. Lacerda did get the armbar in that fight, but he was significantly slowing down. With the cardio of Sosa, his scrambling ability, he might get in some spots where he does get taken down, but I think he's going to pop right back up and eventually chip away at the cardio of Sosa. I'm sorry, if Lacerda, and Sosa is going to just keep attacking. I don't know if he finishes him. I think Sosa is probably going to get held against the cage quite a bit. Reverse, disengage, and then continue going forward, where time's going to get chipped away of Lacerda just not doing much. But if Sosa can come out here and finish Lacerda and then maybe getting him cut from the UFC, because this guy kind of sucks, it's going to be the best thing. But yeah, give me Sosa by unanimous decision. I think he handles business here. Next bout, we've got Balaji Oki versus Manuel Sosa. Sousa, that is. Sousa plus 350. Comeback on Oki is, did I say minus 350? Comeback on Oki is plus 285. Bearing any sort of, mishaps, being that Sousa gets hit by a car and decides to continue to want to fight that same night, keeps it quiet, or Sousa is super overconfident. Like if he comes into the weigh-ins wearing a grill and a big chain and he starts acting and saying yo yo yo, it might be showing signs of overconfidence. But Sousa is only lost to one man, and that is Archie the Hulk Kogan. And even in that fight, he showed promise. Like holding him down really is the best method to try to beat him, and it's going to take a high level grappler like Hulk Hogan to keep him down. And Balaji, with Balaji, he can try to knock out Sosa. I just don't see it happening. I think Sousa is just too damn good. His striking's impeccable. His cardio's fantastic. I don't need to tell you that he's knocked out Mauricio Hufi. You can say, oh, his last fight against Christian Perez, where he got taken down and held down. Let me be honest with you, man. Perez is a striker. For him to go out there and try to like grapple Sousa was maybe a surprise to Sousa. He's like, oh shit, I didn't see this guy coming. Because like Perez, he's solid. He's gonna be in the UFC one day. Trust. He took an ass whooping in that fight, but the positives you need to see from that fight is that Sousa even attacked from the bottom, had good moments, and that was against a guy way better than Balaji Oki. Oki Oki's gonna need to get this to the ground, and he's not able to do that. Because he's not able to do that, he's gonna try to knock out Sosa, and because he's gonna try to, he's gonna get countered and knocked out. I think at this point, Oki getting destroyed by Jones in his last fight, I think his confidence might be low, and getting kind of hurt badly by a guy that he did not respect. He was kind of disrespecting him on the feet because he hurt him. He's like, I got you now. He came back and essentially got finished. He got TKO'd. I think Oki might be a little gun shy. If he's not gun shy, he's going to get overzealous and try to get a finish. And in that case, Sosa's just going to destroy him. I think Sosa finishes him in the first. I'm going to say the first round. I think if these two guys fight the way that they should, BMF style, I think Sosa's going to run right through him. I have no doubt. I think Sousa here, I keep calling him Sosa. Sousa is, I don't want to say top 15 material, but top 15 material. This guy's very, very good. And until he fights an actual grappler that's going to just hold him down, then we can talk. But at this point, at this price tag, I don't want to say he's free, but yeah, he's pretty good. Moving on here, we've got Chris Curtis versus Miktabek Orolbai. Orolbai, minus 225, comeback on Action Man, or lack of Action Man, plus 190. I got Orolbai here to win this one by a decision. I think he, at this weight class at welterweight, he's healthy, and I don't think Chris Curtis is. His last fight at welterweight, which was against another striker, went to a split decision with Max Griffin. I don't know if Max lost that fight. I don't know if he won that fight. It was what it was. I don't think Chris has been looking good as of late. Good takedown defense. Orolbai, I'm not going to sit here and tell you he's got a chance to knock out Curtis, but I think he's got a chance to knock out Curtis. And I don't want to say that just because he knocked out a guy in Jack Hermanson, a guy moving down from middleweight who's been viciously knocked out. The punch that knocked out Hermanson, very one in a million type of knockout. You can say, oh, hit him in the temple, in the ear. It essentially missed. It's just that Jack Hermanson's just taken too much damage. That RoboCop essentially killed him. So I'm not going to sit here and tell you I'm super confident that Orolbai is going to come out here and try to hurt or even knock out Curtis. The reason I think he can is that he does carry power, and Curtis is going to be depleting himself again to welterweight. He used to fight at welterweight, but he's getting older. He's 38. He's not as durable as he used to be. And even blocking head kicks, the Kopolov fight, he blocked a head kick and he got TKO'd. Who's to say that can't happen here against the Orolbai throwing like Stegosaurus punches? I think Orolbai, even if he can't take down Curtis, is going to control Curtis against the cage, going for single legs, maybe trying to duck under and grab the ankle. He's going to have success here. The only problem with Orolbai is that his striking can get a bit wild, and Curtis, we know, has nasty boxing, especially the body shots, excuse me, which could be of a concern if he actually lets his hands go. But give me Orolbai to win this one by a decision. I would love to see a knockout here for Orolbai, because at this point, Chris Curtis has just kind of been fluttering around. He's overconfident at certain times, and we'll talk about overconfidence in a bit as well when we get a little bit closer. But Curtis at this point has just kind of been like one guy who was it? PayPal My Money used to call Chris Curtis Sean Strickland's Robin. He's just always hanging around him because Sean Strickland is Batman, and then Chris Curtis is Robin. And for those of you who know uh, comic books, I would like to see in this case Chris Curtis be Jason Todd. Moving on here, we've got unfortunate fight at middleweight. We've got Brad Tavares versus Eric Anders. Eric Anders plus 115 comeback on Brad Tavares minus 135. This fight, two guys aging in the division, and one's they're about to retire. Eric Anders for sure is about to retire. And what I found fascinating doing the tape on him, Eric Anders has been getting dropped. He got dropped by Jamie Pickett, which is just embarrassing. He got dropped by the ghost of Chris Weidman, again, embarrassing. And I got to talk about the Weidman fight because in the Weidman fight, he looked awful. He looked slow. He looked bloated. He looked like he did not belong in the cage with Weidman. Unfortunately for Weidman, Weidman also looked like he didn't belong in the cage with the name Chris Weidman. Like that was just like, ooh, that's not a good look. Man, the even weirder thing is against what's his name? I can't think of his name. Duncan. Against Duncan, he looked a little bit faster, a little bit better, and a little bit more active. Like he looked a little healthier. So I don't know which Anders we're gonna get because Anders hits hard. He's got massive grappling upside because he's so massive and strong. And against Brad Tavares, I think he's definitely the younger of the two health wise. He looks better, he looks younger, his body's a little bit healthier. He's not necessarily showing signs of truly slowing down. He still has a lot of skill, great takedown defense, good kickboxing. Just his chin can let him down. Against Brysick, he got hurt bad in the first round, came back, won the second round, was winning the third round, gets knocked out. And that seems to be the case. If you don't knock out Brad Tavares, you're going to have to completely grapple fuck him. And that's the other weird thing when I talk about Gregory Rodriguez. Gregory wasn't able to put out cold Brad Tavares. He would hurt him. And it makes me wonder, like, what is it with Gregory Rodriguez? Sometimes he has the magical death touch, and other times he can't put out a guy who's been dropped and hurt many a time. And Brad Tavares, but ultimately give me Brad by a decision. And let me be real, I do think that maybe even taking the prop for Tavares by knockout is a possibility. I don't like the way Anders has been reacting to getting hit. And it's involuntary. Like he gets hit and he's just like, oh shit. Jamie Pickett should not be dropping anybody at this level. So for that reason, give me Tavares by decision. I might potentially take a shot on the knockout prop. If it's highly unlikely to happen and it's good odds, I'll probably take a shot on it. Moving on here. Talking about overconfidence, let's go with Bruno Silva versus Charles Johnson. Plus 175 for Bruno. Bulldog come back on Charles Johnson minus 205. Look, I have a lot to say. I have a lot of thoughts here. For Charles Johnson in his last fight, he's a perpetual letdown guy. Let's be real. Like his last fight, he should have beat Perez. No problem. He gets caught badly by Perez. And now he's coming back months later and fighting Bruno Bulldog. At this point, it's Bruno Silva. I call him back knee Bruno at this point because this guy is on something. Maybe Etcher Sosa should talk to Bruno Silva. But Bruno's on some shit. And this guy, he's always been good. And to me, it's always been like a confidence issue for Bruno. But it seems like he's back on track with his win over that young kid, Hyung Park. Just dominating him on the feet, hurting him on the ground, taking his back eventually and choking him out. Bruno's a solid guy, and he always has been. Hard low kicks, power puncher, good jiu-jitsu, and at this point, a very, very good, strong grappler. Charles, more of a cardio guy. He does hit hard, good boxing, and he's upset a lot of young up-and-coming guys, especially the current champion and possibly soon-to-be future champion in Lonnie Kavanaugh. When I talk about Charles Johnson being overconfident, is that's what leads to his downfall. When he talks all this mad shit, it seems to lead to his downfall. And I'll be real with you, man. I saw something on Twitter from Daniel Levy from Half the Battle, and he kind of indicated that he went on a rant about Charles Johnson, so I went and checked it out. I suggest you check that out as well. I think he puts it into better words than I could, so go check out Half the Battle, check out his breakdown on this fight, because I don't disagree with him at all. Let's just say I've had my personal run-ins with Charles, and not to the extent of like, I'm a nobody on the internet. It's fine. I like it that way. But when Charles is responding to me, of all fucking people, a guy who has no presence and tries to keep it that way, it kind of tells you that this guy has a lot of, you know, a lot of fucking, he's full of himself, let's just say. Um, and I used to be a fan of Charles. I used to like his style. I really did buy into the hype that this guy at 5 rounds could probably beat a lot of dudes. Just give him another 2 rounds and he'll come back and finish dudes, because his cardio was at that point good and like above and beyond at this level. And then I made a joke about him being not energy but lethargy because he got tired versus Ode Osborne. He didn't like that. Clever as shit, by the way. But without that in mind, Charles coming back from knockout against Bruno Silva, a guy with momentum at this point, I can't go against Bruno Silva. I think this is one of these spots where Bruno can just blast low kicks. He has the defense striking wise to beat a guy like Charles, avoid getting hit cleanly with his jabs and long range weapons. The only concern really is if Charles survives up until the 3rd round. We do know that 3rd round Charles Johnson goes hard, and Bruno's been stopped in the 3rd round. But in those situations, if you're going to take that into consideration, these are two guys who were beating his ass for the first 2 rounds. I don't think Charles Johnson's going to beat the shit out of Bruno Silva enough for him to finish him in the 3rd round. So Bruno's tough as hell. He's got the grappling upside to disrupt any sort of momentum from Charles going forward. On top of that, the hard low kicks are going to be there. The overhand rights are going to be there. And I do think that Bruno Silva can win this fight really any way he wants to. I do think as well, as long as Bruno doesn't tire, and again, I don't think he will because he's on some stuff, check his back, I think he's going to win this fight. I think at this point, it's very silly for Charles to be coming back so soon after getting knocked out. What does it say here? Exactly 1 month, 1 week, and 2 days ago. It's like he's so confident in himself that even he's disregarding his own body's safety to come back and fight a guy who has power in his punches and is a solid dude. And I think Bruno's getting a little disrespected here. So another case where you can fade Charles Johnson at these odds, plus 175 all day, every day. So moving on here, we've got Victor Petrino versus Steven Asplund. Asplund plus 185, come back on Petrino minus 220. I don't think Petrino is as free as some people might think. We've all heard, I know you've seen it. If you haven't seen it, Petrino might have a busted hand. No confirmation, no idea. Without the busted hand, he can knock out Asplund, but that's not the point here. The point is Petrino has to get it to the ground and control Asplund. At that point, get a submission, whatever he wants. It's really, unfortunately, because I talk a lot of shit on Asplund personally. Like, we all see it. Come on. Josh Hokick said he was going to make a rug out of him, and I'm like, Jesus, that's rough. But Asplund, for the benefit of him, great cardio, good output, solid dude, hasn't beat anybody good. I thought he maybe had a possibility of losing to Sean Sharaf. But when you look at the Denzel Freeman fight, I'm not going to hold that truly against him. He was still very, very young at that time when it comes to his MMA career. And Denzel, this is the difference between like a good heavyweight and just like below standard heavyweight. And also heavyweight at this point is not the best division. It's kind of shit. Denzel Freeman can compete with a lot of guys at heavyweight, right? So for him to get destroyed by Josh Hokick tells you Josh is at like a completely different level, because he made Freeman look like absolute dog shit. But the fact that Asplund lost to Freeman, it shouldn't be looked at as, oh, Asplund must suck. It's that he's not at that level. And it's the truth, the reality. Petrino, what we know about Petrino is that he fought at 205 decently, had some good wins, moves up to heavyweight, and looks healthier, looks more complete, looks happier. And his dominance over a guy, not the best dude in Austin Lane, but his dominance over Lane shows you what you need to know. He can control big dudes on the ground, and, it's around the same size as Asplund, 6'5". I don't think Asplund's that kind of a that kind of a grappler. So if Petrino gets on top of him, it's going to be the spelling of the end. It's just if Petrino slows down, and if Petrino can't get him down early, and Asplund just kind of keeps moving forward and pressures Petrino and is not getting hit cleanly to hurt him, it could lead to some trouble. But regardless of that. Power advantage Petrino, grappling advantage Petrino. You need Petrino by a submission. I'm going to say round number 2. Again, I'm a little weary to say, like, yeah, he should come out here and run through Asplund, but if dude's got a messed up hand, whether it's like severe or just minute, it's still problematic, right? Is he going to throw it? Is he going to. We don't know. So, yeah, give me Petrino to come out here, round number 2 submission against Asplund. I like Asplund. I'm starting to like the guy. Please, for the love of God, get the surgery. But hoping for the best for him moving forward. Moving on here, we've got Marwan Rahiki versus Harry Hardwick. Interesting fight because I have a different take on this than most would. We've got Rahiki here, minus 235, making his UFC debut against Harry Hardwick, former Cage Warriors champion, back at his proper weight class at featherweight, plus 200. Now, full disclosure, I did pick Harry Hardwick to beat Takawi Fernandez, but before you turn off the channel, let me explain why. Because I fucking hate Cowie Fernandez. I dislike him. I think he's a fraud. And I'll explain why I thought maybe Hardwick could win that fight. Mostly out of spite. But Cowie kicks hard, and that's how he lost. That's how he beat Harry Hardwick. He kicked the shit out of his shins. He couldn't walk. That is truly Cowie's best feature. Because Cowie eventually will slow down. You can gas him out. And a guy like Harry Hardwick, who I'm gonna glaze him a little bit. Yes, he looks like a fucking pumpkin or a jack-o'-lantern, if you will, especially in this picture where you can see his mouth open. You can just put a candle right there, perfect jack-o'-lantern. But the guy is tough. The guy is moving forward type of pressure, good boxing, good everything. He's solid as hell. He's a former Cage Warriors champion for a reason, and his toughness really gets him a long way. I thought, man, he's moving up in weight on short notice against Cowie. If he can get through that first round ass whooping, then he might have a chance here. Fuck it. Let's just spite Cowie Fernandez and go with Harry Hardwick. And he couldn't get past that first round. But again, he's moving back down to his proper weight class. And he's good. He's very good. I wish the best for him, and I really do hope the UFC gives him another chance here because I don't think he's beating Rahiki. Rahiki's just too good at this point. He's 23, and watching him fight, and again, I'm going to give you my probable ways he can lose, but the guy is devastating on the feet. Now, the fight you saw last of his, which I know you did, which was his fight against that dude Malumba, he got caught bad multiple times, and that's both a positive and a negative. The positive, if he won the fight, he got dropped bad, came back, won the fight, knocked him out. That shows you a few things. Obviously, he can take an ass whooping, he can recover, he can fight in that state of like perpetual like confusion and still come out the victor. That's a positive thing. The other positive is he's not going to be this overconfident idiot fighting with his hands down, and that's what got him caught. I do like seeing that in situations where dudes get hurt. Picture this. Picture if in a world where Loney Kavanaugh got cracked bad by Charles Johnson, but he recovered, came back and still won the fight, you'd be like, wow, that's impressive. Because you see that, maybe the odds against Brandon Moreno aren't that wide. It's maybe like he's plus 115, gives you a little bit more confidence that other people are viewing him as a slight favorite that you might bet him and feel more comfortable in. That's the kind of stuff you see. He got knocked out, but he came back because he learned, keep your fucking hands up. In Rahiki's case, you can view that as he got knocked out and he learns from it, but the benefit for him, he came back and he won. This guy's got nasty striking. He's going to learn to keep his hands up and not put himself in danger, but what he does is excellent. Tacks the body well. Nasty elbows, just beautiful combinations. This Moroccan-style kickboxing, like Yusuf Zalal style, which I got to keep notice, man. When I see these guys with the Moroccan flag, probably fucking good. Rahiki coming from the Australian scene, there's not a whole ton of like great Australian talent, but I do think that the Australian talent is oftentimes a little bit higher caliber than something you might find in the UK. Not always, but in most cases you do. See a guy like Quillen Salkhild, and he beats Street Buddha. I don't know the proper sequencing of his name, but Street Buddha's in the UFC now. and that guy lost to Quillen Salkild, and these two guys like in the Australian scene are just going at it, and there's a lot of talent there. Rahiki's only problem that I've seen is he does get kind of controlled on the ground a bit. So Harry being so well rounded, I think he's gonna maybe push the pace a little bit forward. If he doesn't get cracked, he might get a little bit of control time against Rahiki, but that's not the point here. I think Rahiki's just too athletic. The downside for Harry is that although he's tough and he moves forward, and I'm rooting for him, I hope they give him a fight that he can win. He's just not athletic enough. I think just based on pure skill and talent being the key, Rahiki wins this fight 11 times out of 10. Based off of toughness, we've just seen Rahiki show his toughness. So again, it really does come down to overconfidence. And again, I got to stress this, the fact that Rahiki got fucking cracked, if that did not happen, you can have a case here, but because we've seen him get hurt, we've seen him get humbled. Not to say that he was like talking shit and he was like God's gift to fighting or anything, but it's a good scene to have if you have any doubts about a guy. And I think he's going to cover this minus 235. I think he wins it any way he wants. But again, I don't want to discredit Harry Hardwick. I think he is very tough for a multitude of reasons. The fact that he got kicked in the legs and he could not walk, I don't want to hold that against him, right? That's something people are going to talk shit about. Like, oh, he got kicked by a very hard kicker and he couldn't walk. It happens. He's back at the right weight class. Unfortunately, he's not winning this fight. Give me Rahiki to come out here and win this fight via, I want to say, a TKO round number 3. I think he's going to be putting damage on Hardwick, and eventually he cracks him with something against the cage. Like, Hardwick has very good cardio as well. So he's gonna fight till he can't. But I think Rahiki eventually is gonna land something devastating to slow him down, something to the body to keep his hands down, and then he cracks him with something hard up top. Give me Rahiki round number 3 TKO. Very good showcase for him in this matchup. Next bet, we've got Andre Fili versus Jose Delgado. Okay, it doesn't matter who Andre Fili is fighting here. It could be anybody. It just so happens to be chaos and aggression personified in Jose Delgado at minus 265. Unfortunately for Fili, I guess fortunately for Fili, let's just say that. Fortunately for Fili, he gets to lose to a guy with a good name and a good hype around him. Because it does not matter who they put in front of him. It is fate that Andre Fili loses. And why is that? Look at his record. Win-loss, win-loss, win-loss. He won his last fight against a guy who he technically should have lost to in Christian Rodriguez. And now he's going to lose to Jose Delgado. Again, it doesn't matter. It could have been anybody. It could have been, perfect example, Harry Hardwick. You put Harry Hardwick here, he beats Andre Fili. Not because Harry has any sort of like advantage. It's just fate. That's karma that's going to happen. But Delgado, regardless of that, he's going to run through Fili. Fili, he's been kind of holding on to this spot in the UFC for a while now. Like I think it's been kind of evident that, I don't know what kind of witchcraft Fili's doing, but there are times where he fights and it's just like, what the fuck were you thinking? And other times where it's like, oh my God, he's back. And it's very inconsistent in his consistency and inconsistency. It's just like, what the hell's going on here? Like, did you forget to make your payments to Peloton to use his witchcraft on you? I don't know. But regardless of that, Jose Delgado at this point, in his last fight against Last Kingsman here in Nathaniel Wood, he looked good. He looked so good that it's still kind of, I don't want to say Nathaniel didn't win. He did, but you could make a clear case that Delgado won that fight. Even so, a loss of that caliber of Nathaniel Wood to a decision, like busting him up, dropping him, nearly finishing him, it just shows you what kind of level Delgado's at. And even though he did lose that on paper, it's still a very valuable winning and learning lesson for him that, maybe don't try to like go hard to finish a guy and slow down a bit. And there's a lot of things in that fight. I think even in that fight, they were like, I'm mirroring Nathaniel Wood. Like, he's not cutting him off. He's just following him. And that's the type of stuff you learn as you get, more mature. He's only 27, but even at 27, he's showing just a willingness to go out there and like handle business. But again, I do view him as chaos personified. This guy mixes things up beautifully. Nasty punching power, nasty hands, combinations, knees up the middle. He loves finding those knees, head kicks and the spinning back fists. I just feel bad for Fili here. Give me Delgado to come out here and knock him out in the first round. I think Fili, again, he's always shown those glimpses of I still got it. Like he's a solid guy for real. He's 35, but that's a wealth of knowledge. He's fought very good competition, but at this point, these young up and coming guys, and of course, karma is going to catch up to him because again, the Tapology stars indicate he's losing this fight. But again, just unfortunate. It's unfortunate that he gets put out like this. If it would have been Harry Hardwick, he would have lost by decision. But in this case, he gets to get knocked out by Jose Delgado. Moving on here, we've got Omar C versus Ian Cutelaba, minus 180 for C. Come back in Cutelaba, plus 155. C by I'm gonna say second round submission. Say what you want about C. He is 6'4", and Cutelaba's always had issues with bigger men. Always. You look at it. The Johnny Walkers, the Ryan Spans, the last guy. Who did he fight? Big dude. Oh, Kennedy Nzechukwu. Maybe. Oh, another thing in common. A bunch of black guys. We count Johnny Walker, right? He says it. He says the N-word. Omar C is not quite ready, right? We know that, right? He lost to a guy he should have beaten in Alonzo Menafield. He's kind of a doofus, let's just say, but this doofus is highly athletic. He goes for takedowns. He's not going to try to strike with Cutelaba. He's going to push a pressure on him. Cutelaba's grappling, in theory, is better, but Cutelaba's cardio absolutely sucks. And the big body of C is going to be too much for Cutelaba. Let's just put it to you that way. So give me C to come out here. I like the discount too. He's like below minus 200. I don't see a way Cutelaba beats C. C, again, he's still very raw, but he's just so athletic. He's so big. He's so powerful. And even in those mistakes that he makes, and by God, he makes mistakes. He got nearly swept by Brendison Ribeiro. But as he gets more comfortable in the UFC, I think C is going to start looking a little bit better, a little bit more dominant. So give me C to come out here, implement his takedowns, eventually get Cutelaba down. It's not going to be easy. I think they're going to have to strike for a bit, but C's going to maintain his distance. He's going to be the bigger guy, longer reach. You know, his striking's not great. You look at him, you would expect him to be a striker, but no, he goes out there and he goes for the takedowns. He will get it eventually. Round number 2, takes his back, chokes him out. Moving on. We've got Amanda Lemos versus Jillian Robertson in the co-main event. And let me tell you, man, I've got a big bias against Jillian Robertson, so I'll try to be as impartial as I can. And the reason for Jillian is that, like, she is very... she lets me down when I even expect her to let me down. Jillian has really been a head case, and you look at oftentimes when she can't get takedowns, and yes, she's been getting takedowns very often lately, but I think that level of competition suits her well. But when she cannot get a takedown, it's been very consistent for her in the past. If she cannot get a takedown and she cannot implement her game plan, which is always ground-based, being that she's a black belt in jiu-jitsu, she folds. She makes mistakes. She freezes. Go back and watch the Tabitha Ricci fight, where Dean Thomas is like, this is not what we planned. This is not what we talked about. He's just like embarrassed because Tabitha's not letting her play her bullshit. Yes, Amanda Lemos is an aging fighter in a women's division, and she has been taken down many a times, but you look at who has been doing that, and it gives you a bit of hope that she can come out here and get the job done, because Amanda hits incredibly hard for this division. She's incredibly athletic. She's big for the division as well. Not bigger than Robertson, but like in general, like her aura is bigger than Jillian, and Jillian is a girl that can get broken by aura. But you see who's been fighting and beating Lemos. Tatiana Suarez was having struggle sessions getting her down. She beat Lucindo, a girl not on that level, and Suarez, a former title challenger. You give her a step down in competition versus Lucindo. She beats Lucindo. Uh, Verna Jandiroba, title challenger. She, she got submitted by her, unfortunately, but I think Verna's just a better grappler. Mackenzie Dern survives Mackenzie Dern. Very similar to Jillian Robertson, where if like she can't get it to the ground, she's tougher than Jillian, I would say, but she kind of flails around. And then the champion at the time, Wiley Zhang. But that's a very nice run of girls who eventually did take her down and either finished her or beat her. I don't think any of those are at the low level that Jillian Robertson is. I got to give her credit, though, try to be impartial. She has been improving. I think the confidence is there for her, but I think that if she gets popped in the mouth and then she starts going for sloppy takedowns, it's going to be the nearing of the end for Julian Robertson. And this could just be a very biased pick against Robertson, but I really do like the value of Amanda Lemos at plus 160. Looking at who Lemos has been fighting these last few fights, it's everything based on getting a takedown on her. So if Lemos does get taken down by Robertson, then that does tell me that, yeah, Robertson got her at the right time. She is 38 years old. That's an 8-year age difference. Like, she's that much older than her, nearly a decade. So in theory, Robertson should be the favorite. She should win. But when it comes to high-level experience and perseverance, give me Lemos to come out here and be the girl that comes through with it. If she doesn't get submitted by Robertson, I think she can come out the second round, third round, and try to get that finish at that point. So give me Lemos to come out here and get a knockout over Jillian. I've never been a Jillian Robertson supporter because, again, the one time I thought this is the time that Jillian Robertson's going to show she's advanced to that level and she's not going to break, and that was against Talia Santos. I'm like, Talia is a blue belt in jiu-jitsu. She's a Muay Thai girl. Take her down. And what happens there? She gets out-grappled by Talia Santos completely. And she broke there. And then she has her little win streak. She submits Rose Namajunas, right, in grappling. And then you're thinking, wow, this is it. She is showing the advancement. Tabitha Ricci, smaller woman, doesn't let her take her down. She breaks completely. I cannot trust a woman like that. And just because she's beating the likes of Michelle Waterson Gomez, Marina Rodriguez, and Luana Pinheiro, which I think Luana she was doing well, and then she got taken down. But those likes of those females no longer in the UFC, I have no faith in her. So give me Lemos to come out here and get the knockout. Next bout, fabulous fight here. Fabulous, my friends. Josh Emmett versus Kevin Vallejos. Plus 375 for Emmet. Come back on Vallejos minus 500. How does Vallejos lose this fight? Well, let me be honest with you. There's only been one time where I picked against Vallejos, and that was against a guy named Danny Silva. I thought Danny at the odds was live as hell because Danny's a long dude, good boxing, and at the time Vallejos was just not really tested. Not tested at this high level. He got through that fight flying colors. He showed he showed a couple weaknesses in his game, but overall he threw the output. He didn't need to rely on the knockout, and he got through Danny Silva. Danny gave him a good fight. Then he gets a step up in competition against Giga Chikadze, which I thought, hey, you got to kind of take a shot on Giga. Not necessarily like, oh, he's going to beat him, but if he does beat him, it's going to be via the kicks. He's so much longer than him. And Kevin did something to Giga that I've never seen done before. Giga literally says, that's all you got? And then Kevin's like, nope. Hits him with the spinning back fist and proceeds to viciously knock him out. Giga's never going to be the same after that, like ever. Like he's already an aging kickboxer. The chin getting destroyed like that by this kid, absolutely phenomenal. His only loss to John Silva in a very good fight where he showed his toughness. And I think that is the best thing that could have happened to Vallejos. It made him much stronger. It made him recognize, like, wow, I just fought this guy that I'm seeing in the UFC run through dudes, and he didn't finish me. That makes me the fucking man. And now he's fighting like it. Against a guy like Josh Emmett, who has massive power, we know that. Wrestling upside. Unfortunately, he's taken so much damage over the years. And the last fight against the Yusuf Zalal. I knew Zalal would win. I just did not expect it to be that utterly easy, especially by the submission. The way it went with an armbar, I was like, man. And that was Josh at his absolute best. He was training with Dillashaw, so I don't know what Dillashaw was putting in his protein shakes, but that was his absolute peak. And let me be even more real here. This is probably going to look similar to the Ilia Topuria fight. There's a lot of comparisons between Vallejos and Ilia. I've made them. They're different. They're different types of vanilla. Basically, we got like a cinnamon vanilla and then like a French cinnamon vanilla. It's the same basic thing, but they're just slightly different. And Kevin, beautiful work on the feet. He's so compact. He's so defensively sound. I don't see Emmet having much success landing cleanly on him. But when Emmet gets hit by Vallejos, you're going to notice it. He's going to notice it. The low kicks are going to be there for Kevin. Where I would like to see Kevin get tested is with the wrestling of Emmet to see where he's at. And that's the one way I think Vallejos loses is if this fight gets extended. We do know how tough Emmet is. He's a beast. There's no disrespecting Emmet here. But if Emmet can survive getting battered by Kevin Vallejos, which props to him if he can, the longer it goes through, the more, the legend of the toughness of the battle orc here in Emmet gets grown. But if Kevin, say, gasses out, maybe at that point Emmet can take over. And if you have a shot on him, like, bless you. I hope you win, but I just don't think it being feasible at this point with Kevin Vallejos being where he's at right now, knowing how to beat Josh Emmett, seeing essentially his counterpart in Ilia fight that specific game plan. I think Kevin's going to get right past Josh Emmett. It's a very good win for him. Having a knockout of, he went from Danny Silva to Giga Chikadze and then Giga Chikadze to Josh Emmett. And if he knocks out Josh Emmett, which I'm expecting him to do, we will win the title, my friends. We will. But give me Kevin Vallejos round number 3 knockout. I think he's going to show a lot of maturity and patience here. This is a very, very good opponent for Kevin Vallejos. He knows to take him seriously. If he can finish him in the first round, if he finds that perfect shot, like Emmett's just going buck-wild with the overhand, he just catches him with like a counter left hook. Beautiful work. But I am hoping it goes into like round number 3 because I do want to see him get tested at this level. Just like I mentioned earlier about Rahiki, like you kind of want to see how he fights through adversity. Not adversity enough to make me feel like, oh my God, Kevin's going to lose and we're going to lose, but enough for me to think, okay, this is how he handles these high-level opponents with high-level skill sets, with high-level IQ. But ultimately, again, round number 3 TKO, Kevin Vallejos, let's get it. And then closer and closer to, we're going to see John Silva fight for the title against Volkanovski. He wins the belt, and then we get a rematch for the belt like we have discussed, me and Kevin and all of us. Which, let me be real with you, man. I like the gimmick of like Kevin Vallejos going on the internet and be like, we will do this and we will become champion. But if I find out this guy's a commie, I'm going to be fucking pissed. Regardless of that, Kevin Vallejos 18-1 after this fight. And I'm excited as hell to see how it goes. But yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments regarding all these fights. Primarily what you think about Lemos versus Robertson. Because picking the underdog always makes you seem like the smarter of a guy. I'm just being completely spiteful. I don't like it. I don't like Robertson at all. Never have. I have a friend that would tell me like, "Oh, she's so hot," and I'm like her? Really? Okay, cool, whatever. I don't know what it is, but I'd like to know. Also, Tigerbombshop.com. I keep forgetting to push that. Go buy some fucking merch from me. But I will see you next week.